Hi everyone, this is Gavin from Gavin's Gadgets, back again with the Honor 10. This time something a little bit more interesting, I hope. This is where I'm going to go through every single camera app option, tell you how to get the best or how to use them, like a tutorial, because a lot of you have asked me, well, how do I use this, how do I do that? I'm going to show you. I'm also going to quickly show some of the editing options in the actual Honor app as well, because there are some really fun features. So we're going to crack on, and at the very end I've got about 90 photos I've taken on this, which you can have a look at with some commentary. I'll put some commentary as well. So let's go for this now. So I've just opened the camera app on the Honor 10, and you'll notice that always on the top left here you have settings. Now these settings do change depending on the mode you're in. I always would recommend turning on the grid so you can line your shots up a bit better. The timer option here gives you some options between 2, 5 and 10, and audio control. So if you want to use, if you turn that on a second, you can say cheese, take photos, or have an option when you scream loud enough, it will take the photo. It can touch to capture smiles, and you have options on what you'd like the volume button to do as well, which is for zoom, shutter or focus. Plenty of options. Now you can also, if you double press the volume down button when the screen is off, you can actually get it to take a photo, or my preference here is just open the camera, or you can have nothing. Now what you'll notice is, depending on which mode you're in, the options change. So this is the AI camera. If you turn off AI photography, when you go back into settings, you can now change the resolution. You can see RAW format is not available in auto mode. Also with the AI off, you have access to the flash controls, and down the bottom here, this is where it launches the Amazon shopping, where it identifies items, or you've got a QR barcode scanner. So you've got plenty of options. Now I personally recommend for a lot of you to keep the AI on, because it identifies different scenes, adjusts the camera settings to give you that perfect shot. This is, if you tap on that, is moving picture enabled, which is quite self-explanatory. What you also have is some other options. So here you have portrait. Now in portrait you can adjust the beauty mode like so, and you can do the levels. I would say the beauty mode on the Honor 10 is quite aggressively good, so you might want it not as high as perhaps on other phones. What you also have here is you can have bokeh disabled on or off. It automatically has it on by default, and you can have different lighting effects as well, where it can do basic copying what you see in the iPhone 10. Now aperture mode is quite interesting. So in aperture mode, you tell it which item to focus on. You can select the f-stop, so it goes down to f0.5 up to f16, and that's really good. So if we just put about 4 is where it defaults to roughly. So let's just tap on the Joby thing there. Just make sure, yeah, we'll take a photo. Now when you go into the gallery app, or here, as you can bring it up, the photo from the camera, you can see that when you press on the screen, it has that little aperture icon. If you tap on it, you can now change the focus point anywhere. So here we can make the Bose headphones in focus, or we can make the coins in focus. And then what you can do, you can adjust the background blur. So let's put the Joby one back in focus a second. Let's put that to that. And you can save a new photo every time. So if we go back in, and let's just change the focus to that, and then you can actually make more, where it's f16, more of it's all in focus, or everything behind it is blurred. Don't forget the filters. So after you've done that, you can adjust some filters. I quite using the monochrome, but you've got pin focus, and you can play around with these, and if you line up your shots really well, you can get some very fancy looking aperture shots. And you can actually use the aperture shots also for portraits. They do work quite well. So just for most things, you're going to have, and you can see, because we've got audio options there, it tells you that you can say cheese, and it will take a photo normally. So what you've also got on the video, you have beauty mode, and you can turn that on or off, and if you turn it on you can adjust the settings in there. You've got whether you want of the flash controls, off or always on, and in the settings, now you're on video, you can actually adjust the video settings. Now remember, anything over this 1080p setting here, these three do not have any of the electronic stabilization. If you want smaller files, you can have H.265. Most things should be compatible, but there are a number of items that aren't. You can turn the GPS tag on, you can mute the shutter sounds, object tracking, volume, you can decide what you want, and the stabilizer. So I do use this video. I personally have it in, say, something else to do some video recording, so I don't need the actual stabilizer. And whoa, what's all this? Well, now we're into all the other options that you can do. AR mode is where it puts stickers and sort of like very similar to something like Snapchat, but you can create videos of yourself with different effects on your face. Very fun, very fun thing. Night shot. So this is a really clever mode where you can change all the different settings. But when you use night shot, it works out how many seconds that you will need automatically and creates this beautiful shot at night, which is pretty spectacular. And often if you look at the shots, even doing in daytime, they do look really sort of HDR effects and really pretty cool. But you can, when you go into all these modes, so back into night mode, you'll notice that again the settings change as you're in each mode. You can adjust the ISOs here, so you've got options there to do it manually or go back to auto. Let's go back to auto. And it is very straightforward. And to come out of the mode, you just simply tap the actual thing itself, go more again. So slow-mo, you have options for slow-mo. If we tap on that, and here it's saying it's 120 frames per second. And if you want to know what the options are here in the video size, there are two at 1080p at 120 frames per second, or you can have it at 720p. 720p quality is rubbish, so definitely keep it at the 1080p. Now the next option, and again, but go back in, monochrome, uses the 24 megapixel monochrome sensor, and you do have various, you've got the aperture mode here where you can adjust the focus point again, and you've got that, and here down here there's the 4, and you can change where you want and how much focus for it, and you've got black and white monochrome options as well for portraits in there. Time lapse is quite straightforward. You've got a few settings here in time lapse on the video size, but again 720p, and it does the rest for you. Just put it on a tripod. You do need a tripod for that. For night mode you need a tripod. For pro mode you might, depending on how many seconds you've adjusted the shutter speed. Light painting also needs a tripod. Artist mode is, well, let's just look at watermark. So with watermarks here you can basically change the different settings. So you can have, here's a little arrow, can you see it's 2 arrows back and front? So you can actually have these watermarks that you can put on, and here it shows you all the different options that you've got between sport, food and whatnot. So you've got plenty of different things you can stick over a photo, and you can get them from those dots up there. And again, tap the cross, go more. Artist mode is like if you've seen the app Prisma, it does create these funky effects on the fly, and it's using the NPU to do this really quickly on the fly. And again, if you do or on, you can actually select, and you can get some quite groovy different shots. You do have obviously filters as well, which I'll come and see, which are here, and there's your filters if you want the filters, and you can adjust the intensity of the filters as well. There's a little gauge at the top there. Let's go back in. So here you can adjust the intensity of the filter level as well. What you've also got, if you come back in here, 3D panorama. If you want to force HDR on, you can. Panorama mode, pro mode. You probably find you won't use this as much, but you do have options, so you can select the focusing point or mode, ISO control, shutter speed, EV exposure. Here you can go into the different options for manual focus. So if you tap manual focus, then you can adjust the manual focus. The white balance, you've got controls on the white balance as well. And there's different options there as you do the white balance. And all in all, you've got quite a lot of options in the Pro mode of this phone, which is really, really impressive. 3D Creator is pretty crazy stuff. So with that, you'd turn this the other way around. You'd put a face. Now with this, I've got to say, this is very hard to do when you first try it. So you've got to move really slowly towards the face, line the eyes up here with the crosses, and make the person smile. The person you're photographing mustn't move or keep as still as possible. And eventually this goes yellow around the edge. At that point, stop moving your phone, press the shutter button. There's these dots that appear around here, and it tells you just doing the slight side to the left and slight side to the right of the face. And then you can do all sorts of fancy stuff. And to give you some idea of what you can do, you can, if you go in, and you can create a little fancy model where you can dress up and change all the different pieces there, no problem at all. On the AR effects, this is something I was messing around with as well. So that's that. And the last one was document scan. So this is where if you have a document, I wonder if I've got something that I can use, probably not to hand, but you have a document, it actually flattens it, so it makes it still sort of creased up or anything. It just flattens it and you can adjust it afterwards. But again, in AI mode, if it notices you're using a document, it will automatically adjust that for you. Now, one thing that is overlooked is the actual gallery editor. So let's have a look. Let me find something worth taking a shot. So if we pick this photo here, there are a lot of things you can do. So if you hit the edit button, and here you can rotate it, you can crop it. Now, because it's got a super wide screen, you can just hit that and it automatically will crop. It saves it, boom, and that hasn't edited, it hasn't lost the original. So there's where are we? There is the original version. So what you can also do, if you're using Instagram, you can go square, and there are other options there. You've got filters, so you've got loads and loads of different filters, and filter categories. You've got nostalgia, shadow, classic. Let's go to filters again, and others if you scroll up as well. Loads and loads of filters. What I quite like using is the illusion. And this is where you can create either a rotary blur, or you can do circular blur or teardrop type blur. And you've just got various options that you can do. You've also got splash, so it makes it black and white, but then if you pick on a particular color, so let's just go back, let's have a look at that. So we've got some sort of pinky red there, so let's go back to splash. If I tap on that, it's picked up the yellow, and there's your yellow. Don't quite like that bit. Let's just try again, splash, zoom, so I can get, so we've done a bit of blue. What about the red? Can I pick on the red? There we go, so you got the red. Let's save that and save. And now we have where you've just put the splash, whichever color you've picked. And I have played around with this, and I've done it in blue as well. It's great with the red letterbox. So there we have it. That's just a very quick overview. I'm now going to show you a gallery of 90 photos I've taken with this phone.